Hello YouTube, this is Deanna's Permaculture Paradise. It's been a while since I checked in. It's been a busy spring, cold spring, a wet spring, nice and cool weather I should have taken advantage of, but today is really hot and humid. So I got done doing some weeding and I'm like, I have not done a video lately. So I'm showing a view of our free chicken coop that we got. I told you I'd show that at some time. So all it is standing there. No chickens, no yard for them, but you see it now and then you can see its progression. Here is a view out to my elderberry patch that I planted a while ago. We finally just mowed around it. It's hard for them to compete with the grass, but I had put quite a bit of mulch around them. So let's go see how they're doing. And I need to just go ahead and weed and put some more mulch. But I haven't found a good source of wood chips. I'm doing the Back to Eden gardening method too, if you want to check that out. Basically heavy mulching and covering the soil, not tilling. So it goes hand in hand with permaculture. So I need to get a lot of wood chips that'll eventually break down and make a nice loose soil. So here's, if you can see in the cage, there's an elderberry. The birds are landing on the cage and doing their business. That's all that white coloration is. But this one's doing pretty well. Wherever you see a flag, those I thought died. Yeah, I don't see any growth on that. But sometimes the growth can come from the base under the ground. So we'll look down in there. There's one in there. So they're maybe about 6 inches tall. This one's even shorter. This first year, they're trying to establish their roots first. Get a little photosynthesis going on. But you see there's a bunch of grass in here. They don't like that. So we finally just mowed around them. That one I don't see any life in there. So this needs some work here, but at least I got them in the ground. See this one, it looked like it was dead, but it looks like it's coming from the root underneath. No, this is the one I thought was dead, but look, see, there's a side shoot coming up next to it, next to where the stump is. So sometimes you never know. We've been working a little bit on our apple tree playground. I haven't put up the playthings yet, but at least we're keeping it mowed. We find a lot of ticks out here. So we're trying to keep some areas mowed regularly, even though I want to leave some grassy land because I just don't want to waste the time and energy mowing all of that and fossil fuels, etc. So I call that the pasture. So hopefully we'll be able to let the chickens run around some. I haven't decided for sure what to do yet, but I might need to fence off the garden rather than trying to control where they're going. Control where I don't want them. That'd probably be the least amount of work. So that's what I'm planning to do there. So we haven't got there yet, which would help because I have rabbits have been nibbling on my garden. Ideally, if we were out here, we're not moved in yet, I would be out here like I am early in the morning, late in the evening, doing things here and there. It would keep the rabbits out with the activity. I'd have time to, do some little bit of weeding and things here and there. I only live 3 miles away, but it does make a difference when you get home and get settled. I don't feel like going back out again. So here's my tractor tire mint garden. I do have chives in here because I just had to put them somewhere when I transplanted them, but I had to just pull some weeds out of here. So I wanted to show what's happening. So the first thing I showed you, I'll have to go the other way because of the sun, was to lay down, or what I was going to do was lay down humps of compost with manure mixed in. They used to call it mushroom compost where I get it, but now it's called stable to soil because they take the manure from horse stables and mix it in with their compost. So you can see my rows, and I have the grass in between. But you can also see it did not choke out the thistle. But it did pretty well for grasses. Like there's one big grass right here I need to dig out, but what happened there was I didn't have as much cover because it was kind of between the rows before I got the grass down. But without putting, like Back to Eden gardening method says put cardboard down, then your compost, because the cardboard will choke out the weeds better. But we'd already dumped a whole thing of compost here, and I wasn't going to move it and then put the cardboard down. And then I got lazy. I could have put it down in some areas. But this way, we could test this out. So I have weeded the peas once, but now they're getting pruned off by the rabbits. But thistles came up when they were little, maybe about this size. Since these were the first things I planted, I pulled those out pretty religiously. And as you can see, there might be a few little ones coming back, but not too big of a deal. Where I didn't get to, the thistles have taken over. And so I did a lot of research on thistles. I've been pulling them out, they break off, big deal. Well, every time it breaks off under the ground, it makes two come back out. Like when you prune a tree, wherever you prune it, there's two nodes and two shoots grow out. Same with the thistles underground. So, but then it said if you just keep at them and keep killing them, they finally give up because they don't get any photosynthesis. All the energy reserves are taken up from the roots, and they can't put out any more green growth. So if you can keep at them, then they should die off. Oh, one quick side note here, then I'll continue with that. I have been seeing, I don't know if you can see it in the pictures, ladybugs as I've been going through the garden and pruning and pulling weeds. So that's a good sign, because it's either, at least in this area, this is the ladybugs that we want. We have introduced Asian beetles, but this is the native. I don't know the exact scientific name. Okay, back to the thistles. So this morning, these two rows looked maybe not quite as bad as that. And I was worried, I'm like, well, I'll just break off the thistles, they'll grow back, I'll keep breaking them off, and this season I'll get them in control. But because we've had a lot of rain and moisture, and this is compost, not soil, the roots have been coming out just by pulling them. I'm grabbing as low as I can on the plant with gloves. But if you get underneath the plant, there's not so many thorns. This isn't the Canadian thistle. This is something else. I can't remember the name of it, but see those roots? That's a pretty long root coming up. I don't think they'll branch out and be able to come back up because I got most of the root. So I'm holding way down at the base and then pulling straight up, and it's really getting that. Where it's in the path, where the compost isn't, I have to use my handy dandy, I love this weeding tool with this curved head. It helps get leverage rather than just the plain dandelion puller. This has a curved head, and it has like a lever action, and then it also has on the side serrations. So if you get a weed tree, I just try to saw it off underground. That works really well. But I don't know, I got this wholesale when I was buying some other things from a wholesale garden marketplace. So you'll have to look around for that. Some of the thistles, this is my thistle bin, were breaking off, like I said. So I'm sure I'll have some come back, but that was a good thing that they were coming out, pretty much the whole root. So I was getting a little hot, so I'll take a picture of the before and after. I'm going to come back this evening. This, if you can kind of see, there are onions growing in here, pretty tall, looking pretty good. If you can see through the thistles, these are potatoes. But see, the grass did a great job of choking out the thistles more, if you can see. So this is just probably 6 inches, well, as thick as I could grab, 6 to 8 inches of dried, already pre-dried grass clippings. It was more like heavy-duty grass hay. And then I've stomped it down. Now the rain has stomped it down. But what happened was this place was all this deep grass. And when we mowed it off in the fall, it just made like hay, and then it was choking out the new grass, so we just raked it up after it was dried. So it wasn't like, wet, yucky grass clippings. Those will do it too, but they do get some mold and stuff in them. So if you disturb it, you can breathe that in. So if you do that, wear a mask. We have done that, put newspaper down in wet grass clippings. We had some huge pieces of cardboard with our new bath tub and shower and surrounds and stuff. So I said, let's just start a new plot. I do not know for sure what I'm going to do here, but I'm like, let's lay it down. Let's see what happens. If I get to it this year, fine. If not. And where I have the grass clippings, where it was kind of like a haystack, I'm just going to leave that there. But see what's poking through? Everything else choked out. This is nothing underneath, just grass clippings. These thistle things coming through. But that's how deep it was. And I've been taking off the top to fill in between the rows. And then my son dumped some leaves back there. I'm like, just leave right there. That's where I'm going to expand the garden for next year. But I haven't yet finished what I started. So we had another load of compost. It wasn't quite enough. So we started doing the rows here. Kept trying to mow in between, didn't get the grass clippings down. Now I got to mow or string trim this down again before I put the grass clippings down. But this is what the other side looked like. So it choked out all of that grass would have been growing over on the other half. So just the thick, pre-dried grass clippings. I think green grass clippings would probably work too, but that's what did the best. I mean, and it is choking out the grass too, putting the compost deep too, but no cardboard underneath in this one. This was a piece of an old floor of a greenhouse. It's called nursery fabric. It's UV resistant, so people put it outside at like garden centers. You might have seen it when they lay out their plants with their drip hoses. So I'm going to put up I call them my hoopty hoops. It's basically hog panels. I think they're hog panels or cattle panels. Depends. That's basically the width and the height of them. But we're going to bend them and make like a tunnel. I have these at my mom's houses, where we have our other site of New Hope Farms, and for growing produce. But she wanted to focus on root vegetables there, so I wanted to bring the hoops to grow cucumbers and other vining things, and to make a cute garden tunnel for my granddaughters. They love vegetables. So what I was going to do is make the little muncher cucumbers that they love, make this like a granddaughter's garden. So they can walk through. There's no weeds. It's not muddy. They can come whenever they're here, walk through, grab a pickle, a baby cucumber, pick some berries, pick some whatever. I have blackberries over there in the wilderness that are yet to need to be tamed. But that's another project. I'll show the precondition. I'm sorry if the wind is cutting out the audio. This is just on my phone. So this was a nice blackberry. It is a nice blackberry patch that went awry. And this is not the thornless variety. So here we have our grassland area, but we are mowing paths so we can get to stuff. So we'll probably just pick in the wilderness this year. The blooms, there's a lot of buds on these, but I intend to make some kind of paths or rows through here so for easy reach. One last thing, because I am running out of battery, following the path. So I need to weed and string trim around these as well. These are raspberry bushes I transplanted from my mom's site. So these are the ones I cut off and transplanted, and they won't get blooms until later in the summer. I wanted to keep some just to try to have some early on, but the wind liked to pull these over, so they're kind of falling over, but I don't see any blooms on these. They might not get any because of the shock, but that's the difference. These are the ones I did not cut off. These are the ones that I cut about a foot tall for ease of transplanting. So here's our view out to the wilderness and our neighbors, horses whinnying in the background, geese flew overhead. It's so nice to be out in the wilderness. I'll check in again with you later.